Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today in physics, chapter number first, electric charges and fields, part 4, in which we have to discuss about the Gauss law and applications of Gauss law. Before we start of part 4, let's discuss about the previous video, part 3, in which we discuss about the electric flux, then we discuss about the electric dipole and dipole in a uniform external field. So there is generation of torque. Torque is tau. We can say that the torque tau is equal to T cross E. Then we already also discuss about the continuous charge distributions. So this is all about the part 3. Now in this part 4, we have to discuss about the Gauss law. So basically, what is Gauss law? So that is ultimately according to the Gauss statement, we can say. So let's consider the one sphere, which is the as shown into the figure. So considering this sphere, the flux which is associated with this, we need to find out the flux associated with this whole the sphere using the Gauss law. Otherwise, Gauss statement according to the Gauss statement. So simply let's consider that the total flux through the sphere which is having something radius r. So as shown in figure here we have one sphere which is having something radius small r, and with the radius r, it is enclosed a point charge q at its center. That means this is our point q at the center charge. Now dividing this sphere into the small elements. So let's consider that we are dividing this portion into a small element, like consider as a delta s. So because of this q, so that is the electric field which is also over there. So the flux associated with this smaller segment, we can say as a delta s. So delta s is equal to, that means the delta phi, that means the flux associated with this smaller surface, that means delta phi is equal to electric field E dot delta S. But as we know that electric field E is equal to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into distance. Distance, that means over here, what is our distance? That is that we are considering as a small r radius of this sphere. So that means Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into r square into r cap dot delta S. Where what is our r cap? R cap, which is nothing but that is the unit vector along the radius of the vector from the center to the area of the element. Now over here, they both are into the same direction. That means delta s and r cap, which is having the same direction. That's why r cap that will be is equal to the 0. So what is our final equations for the delta phi associated with this surface? That means that the flux associated with this smaller element delta s. So delta phi is equal to q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r square into delta s. Now we need to find out the total flux through the sphere. So what we have to consider? We have to consider total flux phi is equal to summation of all smaller surfaces. We can say the smaller elements, different elements. So flux phi is equal to the summation of all delta s into q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into r square into delta s. Now, as we know that here the delta s, which is having the same distance from the r. So what we have to consider over here, delta flux phi is equal to q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r square, where what is only remaining summation of all delta s into delta s. So what we can say, delta s is equal to only s. That means whole sphere, area of the whole sphere, which is denoted as a capital S. And as we know that the area of this sphere is equal to 4 pi r square. So capital S is equal to, we have to put this value, area of the sphere, total area of the sphere, S is equal to 4 pi r square. So putting this value in this above equation, so what will be happen? So flux phi is equal to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into r square into S is equal to what we are considering, 4 pi r square. So 4 pi which is cancel out, r square also cancel out. So what is remaining? Flux phi is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. And these equations, which is the general equations for the electrostatic, and that equations which is known as a Gauss law. So over here, without the proof, we have to consider the Gauss law. So we can write the directly equations also. So electric flux through the closed surface S. So the electric flux phi is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught, where what is our Q? Q, that means total charge enclosed by capital S. That means that time we have to enclose, that means total, suppose this is our sphere. So the inside the numbers of the charges that we have to consider. We don't have to consider outside of the surface. So this is all about the Gauss law. Now, to using the Gauss law, we have to remember something, some points for the using this for the using of the Gauss law. So as we know that we derived that Gauss stated that flux phi is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. So what we have to remember, point number first, Gauss law is true for any closed surface, no matter whatever it's a shape or a size. Then second point is what? In this equation, that means Q is flux phi is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. The Q on the right side of the Gauss law in this equation, which is included what? Sum of the all charges enclosed by the surface. That means what? Q, that means total charge inside the surface, not outside of the surface. So this charge may be located anywhere inside the surface. Then third point, when there is there are some charges inside or outside the electric field due to the all charges, both inside as well as the outside. So electric field which is inside the surface as well as the outsides of the surface because of the some charges. But into the term Q, that means this Q on the right side of the Gauss law, which is represent only the total charge inside the S. That means let's consider one system. So over here there are numbers of the charges, that means Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 and Q5. But out of them there is only the, for the surface, Q2, Q4 and Q5 charges which are the inside the surface. So that's why the total flux phi is equal to the summation of Q. But what we have to consider for the summation of Q, the total charge inside this surface. That means Q2 plus Q4 plus Q5. We don't have to consider the outsides of the charges. So over here Q1 and Q3, which are the outside of the surface. That's why we don't have to consider as a Q1 and Q3. We only have to consider Q2 inside the surface, Q2, Q4 and Q5. So we can write this equation. Then another point is what? The surface considered for the application of Gauss law is called as a Gaussian surface. Then Gauss law, which is often useful as a easily calculations for the electrostatic field when the system is symmetric. So for the easy calculations, we are applying the Gauss law, but the condition is what? The system should be symmetric. Then at the end, the finally Gauss law is based on the inverse square and dependence on the distance contained in the Coulomb's law. So obviously that is also follows as a Coulomb's law, as the distance that will be, this is depends on what? Square dependence, the inverse of the square dependence. Okay, so that is also based on the Coulomb's law. Okay, so all these points that we have to keep in mind while we are using the Gauss law. Now, what are the applications of the Gauss law? So as we already derived that, directly if we can write the equations, flux phi is equal to E into delta S. E, that means that is our electric field intensity, otherwise electric field, into delta S, that means area connected concerned with that particular surface, is equal to what? Q divided by epsilon naught. So this is equations for the statement for the Gauss law. Now we need to find out the electric field when the field due to the electric field due to the infinitely long straight uniformly charged wire. So let's consider this figure. The figure number 1.29a, the electric field due to an infinitely long thin straight wire, which is the radius. That means as shown in the figure here, the uniformly charged. So straight long, this is infinitely long straight wire, plus 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 plus, which is shown is what? That is the uniformly distributed of the charges. Now, at the something we have to consider as a Gaussian surface. So as shown in figure B, the Gaussian surface for the long thin wire of the uniform linear charge density. That means, so as shown in the figure, let's consider that as a cylindrical form. This is our the dotted line of the cylindrical form which is shown in the figure, which is considered as a Gaussian surface. And the length of the Gaussian surface, which is the small n, and we need to find out the at number point number P. We have to find out this electric field because of this long straight infinitely wire at a something distance what? Small r. So now let's consider that, as we know that the surface area of the curve part is equal to 2 pi rl. So the flux to the Gaussian surface is equal to what? The flux to the curved cylindrical part of the surface. So as we know that according to the Gauss law, flux, that means flux phi is equal to E into area. So E, that means that is as it is, into area. Area, that means what? 2 pi r l. But as we already discussed in the previous video in part 3, the total charge of the surface flux, total charge, that means we can say as a Q. Q is equal to lambda into L. Lambda, that means what? Linear charge density into L. L, that means that is our length. So flux phi is the charge Q is equal to what? Lambda into L. So according to the Gauss law, what we can write Gauss law, that means flux phi is equal to E into A is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. So E, which is as it is A, that means what? 2 pi RL is equal to Q, that means we already discussed lambda into L divided by epsilon naught. We have to find out the value of E field. That means this LL will be cancelled out from the both sides. So we have to obtain the equation C is equal to what? Lambda divided by 2 pi epsilon naught into R. We can write these equations in the form of the vector form. So at any point, E is equal to vector E is equal to lambda divided by 2 pi epsilon naught into R into n cap. N cap is what? N cap is the radial unit vector in the plane normal to the wire passing through at the point, and E is directed outside if lambda is positive, and inward if the value of the lambda is negative. That means the lambda when the E, which is the directed outside, that time the value of the lambda is positive, and the value of the E, which is inward, when the lambda is negative. Now let's consider that we need to find out to field due to the uniformly charged infinitely plane sheet. So now consider that as shown in the figure, the Gaussian surface for the uniformly charged infinitely plane. So let's consider that over here the surface we have surface number 1, which is into the minus x directions, which is shown in the figure. So this is our minus x directions, which is surface number 1, and the another surface, that is surface number 2, which is in the plus x directions. So therefore the flux E into delta S through the both of the surface which are the equal and they are the added up. So what will be happen? So the total net flux through the Gaussian surface is equal to what? 2 into E into A. E, that means that is our electric field, into A, that means the area. So the total charge enclosed by the surface, closed surface we can say. So total charge Q is equal to what? Surface, over here we are considering the surface. Surface, that means the sigma will become. So Q is equal to sigma into A. Now according to our Gauss law, we can write, we have one equation directly. So flux phi is equal to EA is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. But what is over here? The E into A. We have to over here the total E. What will be happen? 2 into EA is equal to Q. That means that is our sigma into A divided by epsilon naught. Again, we need to find out the E. E, that means that is our field, electric field. So E is equal to sigma divided by 2 epsilon naught. And we can write the in the terms of the vector form. So vector E is equal to sigma divided by 2 epsilon naught into n cap, where n cap, which is nothing but that is our unit vector normal to the plane and going away from it. And again over here also E, which is directed away from the plate if sigma is positive, and is towards the plate if the sigma is negative. E, that means over here we also have to remember that E, that is our electric field. Now using the Gauss law, we need to find out the field due to the uniformly charged thin spherical cell. Now consider that, yeah, the surface here, this is our origin, the surface which is distributed charge density sigma. Now let us assume that suppose the outer side of this some point, suppose let's consider as a point number P. We have to find out the total, we have to find out the electric field because of this surface charge density, the charges which are the distributed over here. Let's assume that the radius of this sphere, otherwise our surface, is equal to capital R. And from the origin of the outer side of this our surface, let's consider as a point P, which is having something distance small r. And this dotted line, which is nothing but that is our Gaussian surface. And the condition is what? When small r, which is greater than the r, that means this r which is greater than this our surface. So according to our Gauss law, the field outside of the cell, that means flux phi is equal to EA phi Q divided by epsilon naught. So E, which is as it is. Now as we know that 4 pi r square, that means area of the womb, area of our Gaussian surface, that we have to consider over here, into what is actually happen? Q. Q, that means that is our charge. Q is equal to, we can write what we can write, sigma into area. So sigma, which is as it is area, that means what? Yeah, that means these portions we can write 4 pi into capital R square. That is also our area. So we have to keep in mind over here. Over here, what we have to consider over here, the area which is we have to consider as a Gaussian surface, and the charge associated with this portion. So that's why we are writing the capital R square. So that we have to keep in mind. Now we have to find out what E, that means 4 pi 4 pi, which is the cancel out from the both sides. So E, which is what? Sigma into R square, capital R square divided by epsilon naught into R square. Now what they are actually doing over here? Over here they are considering as a Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into R square. How this will becomes? Actually over here multiplying the 4 pi numerator as well as the denominator. When we are multiplying the 4 pi of our numerator as well as denominator, this 4 pi into the denominator, which is as it is, see, multiplying the 4 pi denominator, that means 4 pi epsilon naught into r square. But what will be happening for the numerator? 4 pi r square into sigma, that is considered as a what? Our charge. So which is shown over here also, q, that means that is our charge, a into sigma. But as we know that a, that means that is our what? 4 pi into r square into sigma, that is what? Total charge on the spherical cell. So over here we are only ultimately what we have to remember, 4 pi, we are multiplying numerator as well as the denominator. So that's why our these equations will become in the vector form. E is equal to q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into r square into r cap. And the electric field is directed outside if the q, which is greater than the 0, and field is inward if the q is less than the 0. Now what will be happen? Field inside the cell. So as we know that this is our surface, okay, which is having something capital R radius. Now we have to consider inside this surface. So let's consider that this Gaussian surface, which is denoted as a dotted circle, and inside this surface, let's consider as a point number V. We have to find out point number P. So the condition is what? R less than small r, which is less than the capital R. So we need to find out the field inside this surface. So according to the Gauss law, flux phi is equal to EA is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. So the Gaussian surface enclosed, there is no charge. So when the Gaussian surface encloses, which is having no charge, so that's why as Q is equal to 0, so in these equations Q is equal to 0, so this whole term will be 0. So we can write E is equal to 0, where condition is what? Small r, which is less than r. That means what? The field inside this surface, which is each and every point inside of that, the field is 0. That means the value of the E is equal to the 0. So the field due to the uniformly charged thin cell is 0 at all points inside the cell. So this is all about the field inside the cell, and this is all about the field which is outside of the cell. Now for the easily understand, this will be useful for the this graph, which is useful for the MCQ solving. Otherwise, to remember this whole theory, this is the graph which is nothing but that is our electric field intensity E and the distance. So as we know that small r, which is less than capital R, that time what will be happen? Electric field intensity, that is the 0, as seen in this. Yeah, we already discussed in the above theory. So E is equal to 0 when the where r small r, which is less than r. Now what will be happen with the field exactly on the surface? So that time small r is equal to capital R. Okay, and that time the E is equal to what? 1 divided, that is directly proportional to 1 divided by the r square. And the condition number 3, when r, which is greater than the r, small r, which is greater than the capital R. So that time the electric field, which is vary as what? E directly proportional to the 1 divided by r square. So over here, we are ending up this chapter ultimately, and the reference of this particular all the